They have that saying, it's like an age-old saying where they said, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Well, like in the case of Ravens football, it's not always the fact that we won. It's not always the fact that we won, but the fashion in which we win. Like that's really the main determining factor in how the Ravens flock react to certain games. So, yesterday we beat the Arizona Cardinals 34-21, which obviously is good. We did still win, but again, many people and the Ravens flock, such as myself, were really not satisfied with the fashion in which we won in. Coming off of such a dominant win against the Lions, where we played a complete game, we came into this, and like many other games in the John Harbaugh era, the team goes up and plays a clearly inferior, clearly less talented team, and we make it unnecessarily harder than it has to be. A game that should have just been another beatdown. We should have had two beatdowns in a row, but instead we end up, again, like we've done many times before, letting these weak teams linger, letting them just hang around, letting them have some hope, to the point where towards the end of that game, I actually started to get nervous because it looked like they had a real shot. Like, man, y'all don't understand, man. When they kicked that onside kick and I saw the onside kick heading and not, when I saw that kick bouncing over into the direction of Nelson Aguilar, man, I almost threw my phone, man. I said, "Oh, damn, here we go." In the pit of my stomach, I knew. No offense to Aguilar, because he's been making some good plays, but at the same time, when that ball came in his direction, the first onside kick, the second onside kick, he did actually hold on to it, but the first time, before it even got to him, I said, man, he ain't catching that. He didn't even try to attack the ball. Like, he reacted very timid. Like, he didn't want to touch it. Like, and in a situation like that, everything's on the line. You're not trying to give this team hope, and in that situation, that's exactly what they did, to the point where towards the end of that game, it actually became a close contest. Like the Cardinals scored 17 points in that fourth quarter. Mind you, our defense, which is a top 5 defense, we've only been allowing like 13 points a game, and we just let the Cardinals put up 17 points just in the fourth quarter and 24 points in the game. A team this mediocre, like it makes zero sense that this even had to happen. Like there's still positives to take away from this game, but it's not exciting to see that we're still at times looking very inconsistent, even though we have so much talent, but we're just, again, not executing. And again, it's all about the fashion in which we won, because we scored 31, which is only like 7 points less than what we scored against the Lions. But in that Lions game, everything felt effortless. It felt like we were a well-oiled machine. Like we executed. I don't even know if we punted in that Lions game. That's how much we were scoring. That's how well we were executing. I don't even know if we punted in that game. But obviously in this Cardinals game, we punted several times. We punted 5 times, actually. Then also Justin Tucker, he had missed a 53-yarder. So Justin hasn't had a good start this year when it comes to 50-yarders. I'm not too worried about that long term because, again, he's still the most accurate kicker ever. So I don't think that's something to really be too concerned about. But, yeah, man, our defense just... I don't know. Like, I don't understand how we let a team like that even look halfway competitive. Like on both sides of the ball, it just felt sloppy. Like there were individuals on both sides of the ball who shined bright in this game, but like as a unit, as the whole offense as a unit and the whole defense as a unit didn't feel like it didn't feel like we were really executing and really locked in. But obviously, like I said, we had individuals who balled out. Like on offense, Gus Edwards had a hell of a game. Like he had 80 yards on 19 carries and he had 3 touchdowns. Then also he had 2 catches for 14 yards. So in total, he had 94 total yards, 3 touchdowns, and so he's coming off of a great game, a career game against the Lions, where he had 144 total yards and a touchdown, and then he follows that up with another solid game where he put up 94 yards and 3 touchdowns. I feel like these 2 performances have pretty much shut the door on the possibility of the Ravens trading for Derrick Henry or Saquon or any running back. I know some people, they were saying Dalvin Cook or something. I don't at this point, because even in the video I did a few days ago when I talked about the rumors, I even said it then. I said, look, I wouldn't be mad if they went for Derrick Henry or whoever, but I don't think we need to. And again, time after time, Gus doesn't get that love, but again, Gus just keeps producing. He doesn't have a flashy style. He's not that household name, but Gus just produces. And I am also happy. I'm not going to hold you. I am also happy that I started Gus in my fantasy league this week. Like, I was very excited to see the results of that, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. At the end of the day, we had a similar approach to last week. As far as last week, we threw the ball 28 times. We rushed it about 27 or 28 times. So it's like literally the definition of balance. And then again, in this game, we threw it 27 times and we rushed it 29 times. So it's like we're still, on paper, it still seems as though Todd Monken and this offense, they're trying to go for a much more balanced, team, which makes sense. But again, the downside is, unlike last week, this week we just didn't execute. Like the one bright spot, obviously, like I said, was Gus. Rashad Bateman made a couple of big plays, one being a big run that was for like 18 yards, and then another being that catch. That was definitely an excellent catch where he saved an interception. He literally saved an interception. Like Steve Smith, the wide receiver Steve Smith, whenever he's talking about certain receivers, he would always say, this receiver made the quarterback right, which was just another way of saying like, hey, if the quarterback made a bad throw or a bad decision, the receiver was good enough to actually go get the ball anyway and make it seem like it was the right decision. And in that play, the ball that Lamar threw was not a good ball. It was going right to the defender, but then Rashad Bateman just snatched it back. So again, obviously that was good to see. I feel like at that point, that's going to make more people now hope that Rashad Bateman starts to get more targets, to get him more involved in the offense again. I feel like plays like that are starting to get him back to a point where he's starting to seem more confident and express more confidence. And that's good to see, obviously, because we know he's still talented. And, hopefully we just get him a little more involved. Get Isaiah likely a little more involved too. He had I haven't, despite how good Isaiah is, it seems like they're not trying to. They haven't done much. Monken hasn't done much with him yet, which is disappointing to see. Obviously, it's like, and I said this. I've been saying this since like week 3, where it's like it seems like we're putting a little too much emphasis on trying to force feed Zay Flowers the ball, especially like in short yardage situations, like. And I'm not necessarily against that, but again, we also got to remember he's a rookie, and some of these plays, not even some of them, a lot of these plays that we keep trying, they're just not working like that. It ends up being negative yards or just him getting back to the line of scrimmage. So it is what it is. As far as like defensively, again, our defense as a whole unit, it looks sloppy. Like we let a bad team have a shot at beating us again. But again, you had individuals who balled out, like Michael Pierce. Michael Pierce, to me, was definitely, whether it's offense or defense, Michael Pierce was the player of the game, in my opinion. He went crazy. He had a pass deflection. He had a sack, and not only was it a sack, but it was a strip sack. He had a couple of key runs that he stopped on the Cardinals offensive side. Like he stopped. I think the running back's name was DeMarcado. Like he had several key stops that kind of disrupted the Cardinals' rushing attack, which is like really their strength right now. So yeah, it was definitely a great game for Michael Pierce. Justin Madubuike, he also had another sack. I really felt like he should have had two, but either way, he had one sack still. So now Justin Madubuike has 6.5 sacks on the season. And now with him getting 6.5 sacks, he is tied for 8th in the NFL right now in sacks. Like right now, he's tied with the likes of Hassan Reddick and Max Crosby, which is great company to be in. I know a lot of people to this day, they're still thinking we should aim for an edge rusher. But again, and maybe this is just a serious credit to Mike McDonald. But either way, regardless of us not having that big name pass rusher, we're still getting it done. This is actually a case where trying to take that whole committee approach, like rushing by committee, it's been working very well for us. It feels like every time we turn around, somebody else is balling out. Like I said in this game, Michael Pierce went crazy. Then we've seen games where Kyle Van Noy went crazy. We've seen games where Jadeveon Clowney went crazy. Obviously the one person who's been consistently going crazy has been Justin Madubuike. So again, if we make that type of move at the trade deadline, I'll be cool with it. But at the same time, if they don't make it, I could understand. At this point, I'm more concerned about the offensive line and maybe trying to make a move when it comes to trying to beef up our offensive line and see who we could bring in, who we can bring in that could actually bring some real consistency, because I'm getting more and more worried about Ronnie Stanley. But as far as to get back to the defense, Brandon Stevens balled out. He had a pick, and then he also could have had a second pick, but Geno hopped right in the way and just stole it from him. But that's still great to see, is like that players in our secondary are starting to really step up and go crazy. Geno Stone is leading the league in interceptions right now with 5, which I know nobody saw coming. So that was definitely exciting to see. But again, this is still a win that doesn't feel as satisfying as it should be, because we should be dominating. But again, if we want to look at it from a positive angle, we're not the only team having these sort of issues. Like, when you look around the NFL, it's just a bunch of games that don't make sense. Just yesterday, the Chiefs lost to the Broncos. They lost by 2 scores to the Broncos, and they only got 9 points. We've watched so many great teams just have these embarrassing losses. So at least in a game like this, where we really, with the way we were looking towards the end of that game, we should have lost. But regardless of our team playing sloppy, we're still cranking out wins, and we're finally done with this stretch of road games. Like, in our 8 games so far, we've traveled 5 out of the 8 games. Now, technically, they're counting the Titans game in London as like a home game for us, but obviously that doesn't count. We went all the way out to London. So, again, in our first 8 games, we traveled 5 out of those 8 games. And mind you, 3 of those games were divisional games. So to come out on the other side of this, 6-2, we're tied for the top of the AFC right now. We're still in a very good position. And now we got 3 back-to-back home games against the Seahawks, Browns, Bengals, and then our next 4 out of 5 games are also going to be at home. So I'm still excited to see the team get back on track. Hopefully they can fix this. I know Lamar sees what we're seeing when it comes to why Lamar hasn't been looking super satisfied after some of these wins. Like, even in his post-game press conference, he said, hey, we need to score more points. A lot of people may take that the wrong way, because they may feel like, hey, we scored 31 points. What do you mean we need to score more points? But number one, we have a talented enough roster to where we could easily drop 40 every single week if we just execute and play discipline and stop getting so many penalties. But then also, too, I think part of the reason he also said that is because he feels like we're not executing as well as we could. And while that's not a big issue now against a team like the Cardinals, once we get deeper and deeper into the schedule, especially the playoffs, this could be the type of stuff that could kill us. So I definitely want to see things get cleaned up. But again, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. How did you feel about this win? Are you satisfied with this win? Are you surprised that Hollywood didn't go crazy? Like, I thought that they were going to target Hollywood like 20 times in this game, but they actually didn't. Let me know what your thoughts are on how the game went in the comments section below.